it's incredible in terms of what's possible, and the size of the list you can build and how much traffic is really out there.
Hey podcast listener, you're about to discover insider tips, tricks, and secrets to making more sales and converting more prospects into customers with email marketing. For more information about the Email Marketing Podcast or the Autoresponder Guy, go to dropdeadcopy.com/podcast.
Hey everybody, it's John McIntyre here, the Autoresponder Guy, and it's time for episode 64 of the McMethod Email Marketing Podcast, where you'll discover one simple thing: how to make more money with every single email that you send. Today, I'll be talking to Mike Colella, the founder of AdBeat. Now, AdBeat is an awesome piece of software that lets you spy on your competitors. You can drop someone's, competitor's URL into the software, and it will tell you all the ads that they're running, where they're running them, how long they've been running, so you can figure out if the ads are profitable, what the landing pages are, if the landing pages are converting, so you can have a great foundation to start your own campaign on. So that's AdBeat. So I thought I'd get Mike on today because I'm diving into paid traffic myself, my own business, and I thought, why not get some paid traffic guys, Mike's one of them, to come on and talk about paid traffic and email marketing and sales funnels, because it's going to help me and it's going to help you. Okay, so today, me and Mike are going to talk about how much you need to make with your funnel to make it work. There's a big misconception here that if you go and create a funnel and you promote it, if you don't make money with it straight away, then it's not working. That's not actually how it works. You need to make a certain amount, and you can test and tweak your way to get there. Anyway, I won't spoil the surprise. Beginner mistakes with paid traffic and how to avoid them, and the split testing mindset, and that is absolutely key. And I've talked about this before in the 80-20 Sales and Marketing book with Perry Marshall. Now, to get the show notes for this episode of the Email Marketing Podcast, go to themcmethod.com/64. Now, this week's McMaster's Insight of the Week. If you don't know, McMaster's is my private training community where you can get, there's a forum, there's training products, the McIntyre method, pages that convert a bunch of different products which will help you build your sales funnel and create your email marketing and your email autoresponder. And there's also a forum where you can ask questions from me and for the other people in there. That's McMaster's. This week's Insight is Julian said, I gave it a go yesterday at his handwriting copy, and I've got one of John Carlton's headlines stuck in my head all night. Here's the headline: the naked girls all laughed behind the little pudgy guy's back until he got into a knife fight with 3 enormous badass bikers. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a cool headline. I just wanted to bring that up. But the main point I mentioned this is that Julian went and got started handwriting copy. And that's why I wanted to mention it. It's because handwriting copy, that's how I learned how to write copy. That's how Gary Albert, that's how Dan Kennedy, that's how all of the best copywriters in the world learn to write copy. Okay, and most of them. And, I've mentioned this before, but I think it bears repeating again, that if you want to become a copywriter, or if you want to get better copy, or better at sales, better at marketing, go handwrite some copy from, the old days. Go get one of Gary Albert's sales letters, John Carlton, something like that. Write it down with a pen and paper. It's fun. Now, if you have a review, if you want to review the show, you'll make my day, put a huge smile on it, but you'll also help me spread the word of the Email Marketing Podcast and get more of this marketing goodness out into the wild. So go to iTunes, search for the McMethod Email Marketing Podcast, and you can leave me a review there, and I will read it out on the show. I got one listener question, and then we'll get into this interview with Mike Colella. The question is, where do I get started with paid traffic? If I want to get started with paid traffic, where's the best place to start? I think there's a whole bunch of different places to start. I'm going with Facebook. Basically, you need to just pick one and stick with that. Don't pick one and then do it for a week and go, this isn't working, then go do another one, and then another one, and then another one, because you never make any progress on any of them. You want to pick one traffic source and master it, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Google AdWords. Google AdWords is very competitive. Right Next has been around for a bit longer. So I'd say go with Facebook. And then what you're really going to need is you're going to need a sales funnel. So it's not just as simple as setting up an ad and sending it to your sales page. Facebook, it's not really going to work like that. You're going to need, I'm going to mention this on another episode soon, that you need to have a sales funnel where someone comes in and they don't just get the sales page, they get a squeeze page or an article or something like that. Then they buy the product. Then you have a series of upsells that you sell them, which will dramatically increase the lifetime value or the amount of cash that someone can spend in that, that first go, which is going to push you closer and closer to profitability. So that's it for now. Let's get into this interview with Mr. Mike Colella and talk about paid traffic and sales funnels. It's John McIntyre here, the Autoresponder Guy. I'm here with Mike Colella. Now, Mike is the founder of AdBeat, which is a awesome piece of software that allows you to check out what your competitors are doing on paid advertising. Now, I haven't had on this podcast, I haven't had any guys so far, aside from Perry Marshall, to talk about paid traffic, or paid traffic specifically. And recently I was going through Traffic Black Book, I think it was Paid Traffic Black Book 2, and Mike is one of the presenters on that program. So I thought, hang on, why don't I bring some of these paid traffic guys
guys on here because plenty of people come to me and they ask me, how do you build a list? And you can go and do it through SEO and build a content site, but that takes a long time. That's a good long-term strategy. But what if you want to build a list today? And that's where paid traffic comes in. And I'm fascinated with this issue because I'm just getting into it myself. So, there's a lot that I want to learn here. There's a lot that I can learn. And I know that there's plenty of people that are listening to this, maybe as a listener, who you want to know how to do this too. Basically how to go and buy a list. Not buy a full list, but go and buy traffic, send it to an opt-in page, and turn it into leads. So we're going to talk about that today. Mike, how you going?
Hey, John. I'm good. Glad to be here.
Cool, man. Good to have you on. Before we get started into the building a list with paid traffic stuff, I give the listener a background on. I've done a little bit, but a background on who is Mike Colella. A bit about AdBeat and what you're getting up to these days.
Sure. So, before AdBeat, I basically kind of got involved with online marketing through affiliate marketing, and I started promoting a bunch of different fitness products, mostly info products in the fitness space, and doing really well with that with display advertising, a lot on the Google Display Network and some other traffic sources. And, after kind of doing that for a while, had the idea to build AdBeat and started building that product out, and we've been doing that for quite a while now. It's been in the marketplace for over 3 years now. And so AdBeat is, just briefly, it's a competitive intelligence platform that allows you to see what is happening across the internet and across 20 different countries, even with display advertising. So you can basically see what your competitors are doing, see what ads they're using, what landing pages they're using, and that's kind of the idea there.
Okay, nice. So that's basically like, I've taken a little bit of a look at it so far, where you can go in and you can punch in, say someone's, I've seen these, you've run through the course, where you can punch in someone's website, and that'll bring up all their ads, all their campaigns, the ad copy, the banner ads, everything that's going on in their ad campaigns. Then you can kind of look for ideas to basically just copy and then, roll out in your own campaigns.
Yeah, that's basically the idea. You can get some really great ideas on ad copy. You can get great ideas on landing page copy, and you can really just kind of see what's working with display advertising in particular. We don't cover search advertising. That's kind of not really my area of expertise. Display is, for anybody that doesn't know, that's, banner ads that show up all over the web. A lot of different sources of traffic for that sort of advertising.
Cool, man. Okay, cool. Well, let's get into some of this, how to build a list with paid traffic. We talked about it real quick before we jumped on the call here and hit record. But give me a bit of an overview. Let's start off with kind of like a big picture overview of, I guess, what's going on right now with building lists with paid traffic, and then we'll dive into some of the details.
There are guys out there right now. Just to give you an idea, kind of the upper end of, what's possible. There's guys out there building lists of, 1 million plus subscribers using display advertising in many different markets. Anything from health and wellness to personal development to golf to, finance. Kind of across the board, there's guys out there doing that, building lists primarily through using display advertising, a lot of paid traffic to an opt-in page. So it's incredible in terms of what's possible. The size of a list you can build and how much traffic is really out there. If that's kind of the model that you're focused on and you're kind of dedicated to putting in the work to make it all happen.
Okay, so they're doing, you're looking at ads on the Google network that then push people to a squeeze page. Is this like a typical squeeze page, or are they doing something funky these days?
You'll see anything from more of anything from a very basic squeeze page with just a headline and a little bit of copy to something more elaborate, like a quiz style page that asks them a bunch of different questions before asking for the opt-in, even a short video on the opt-in page, and then asking for an opt-in, obviously in exchange for some sort of value, right? Some sort of free content or support or whatever.
Okay.
So It's kind of across the board. It depends on the market really. And it's, a lot of that's about testing or seeing what's working in different markets.
Okay. Now there's a big thing here because obviously it's going to cost money to go and build a list like this. But one strategy for this is immediately after they opt in, you give them an offer of some kind.
Yeah.
You send them to, this is standard practice, right? What you want to do is you you want to recoup your ad costs on the front end. Is that what these guys are doing, or is it better to, I don't know, not do that and do it on the autoresponder?
No, I mean, it would be hard, I think, to use this sort of model with paid traffic to an opt-in without trying to recoup a good chunk, at least, of your ad costs right there on the day zero after opt-in. It just depends on the market and depends on how well built out your funnel is. But I mean, I can tell you there's guys out there that are doing anywhere from kind of break even on the front end, like on day zero, they're basically recouping ad costs completely to maybe even running at a slight profit. And then there's some guys that'll actually go negative on the front end and may not recoup that ad spend until weeks into an autoresponder sequence. It just depends on what you're doing, especially if you have some sort of a high-end product, on the back end that may take weeks to develop in terms of building trust and, sort of educating the market or whatever on what it is you're going to offer them. I mean, you may not be able to break even on day zero. So you may have to be willing to put in some money and sink into that autoresponder sequence before you see the return.
I remember speaking to a friend here in Thailand, and he works with some of these guys, and he mentioned that a lot of the big companies, they're often happy with, if they can get 50% of their ad spend back, so 50% ROI on the front, they're usually happy because then they know based on the funnels that they've had in the past that they can go and make the rest of that and some profit back using the autoresponder in the back end.
Yeah, I mean, that's for someone who's just starting out, that's going to be challenging because you're not going to have that funnel built out properly on the back end. You probably don't have the product line that's needed. And you just don't have the autoresponders all set up. Most people, don't have the patience to set up, 100 plus autoresponder emails before they even start sending any traffic. So for someone who's more advanced and is really established in the market, that's probably totally reasonable, 50% on day zero. But it's possible. It's definitely possible to do 100% of your ad spend on day zero, and so recouping all of that, either with say an affiliate offer on the thank you page, or offering your product at a discount, one-time offer kind of style. So there's a lot of options to make it work, and kind of almost anything you can think of is out there being used.
Okay, interesting. So it'd be cool to get into some of the funnel stuff in a minute, but first, I'm going to be good to take a quick look at when someone gets started with paid traffic, and with this kind of model, when they start doing like a squeeze page with an autoresponder, and they're driving traffic via a display network. What's some of the stuff that typically goes wrong? Some of the typical mistakes that people make that if they just eliminated those mistakes, they'd be more successful?
I would say with display in particular, probably one of the biggest mistakes is trying to be too direct with with your copy, too direct with your message. Display is such a unique medium where the person they're probably not thinking of whatever it is that you're offering them when they're on the site that they find your ad on. And so you really have to kind of be a little more indirect and a little more almost a little more aggressive with the copy, and almost entertaining, I think, is a good element to include. If in some way you can sort of kind of capture their attention for a few minutes, it's you're going to have a much better chance of the whole thing working in terms of a positive ROI. So trying to just go too direct with with your ad copy, I would say is a big mistake that I see a lot of people try to make with display.
Okay, what do you mean by too direct? You mean they're just going straight for, like, if you're in the lose weight niche, you might just say something like lose weight? What's
I mean, exactly, without sort of a hook, right? I mean, I'll just tell you, in that market right now, a hook that's been working for, years. I mean, I don't know how many years now, but a headline like 5 foods to never eat, right? That's a headline that's freaking everywhere, and so that says nothing about losing weight, right?
Yeah.
And so that's it's just sort of a little bit of a twist, and it's just a little bit of a hook that gets people sort of curious and willing to click through, right? It doesn't feel like you're trying to sell them on anything. It feels like you're trying to give them something of value immediately, and so people respond to that.
Yeah, me and my friend make fun of that all the time. We'll be at dinner with friends or something, and we'll quote that, and we'll start coming up with weight loss ad copy on the fly based on these 5 weird foods that doesn't want you to know about.
Right. Yeah.
So, all right. So one mistake is that you need an angle, basically. You need a hook. You need a reason other than just selling a product to actually, be there. Okay. Are there any other mistakes that people are making? Common mistakes?
Geez, I don't. I think just being patient enough and really getting enough data to make good decisions. A lot of people just get scared out of a market. They'll spend a few dollars on some ads and it doesn't quite work out for them, and so they'll just kind of give up way too early. I mean, the reality is that the ad copy matters a lot. The landing page matters a lot in terms of making sure it's all converting as well as possible, and then the sites that your ads are showing up on is also extremely important. I mean, you can take the best ad in the world, the best copy, the best landing page, and you can place that ad on a site that just doesn't have the right type of prospect on the site, and it's still not going to perform, right? So you have to be willing to kind of find the right combination of all three of those things until you kind of hit on a little pocket of targeting, a little pocket of sort of that whole combination there, and you'll see something start working, and then you kind of improve on it from there.
Okay. Well, one thing that's really kind of clicked for me, probably in the last couple of months doing some Perry Marshall stuff, is this whole split testing mindset that most people kind of get into paid traffic, and whether it's display ads or Facebook or Google or any of this stuff, where they run a campaign and maybe it doesn't work, so they make one change to the ad copy, and then it doesn't work. They're like, oh, all right, this is a bad idea. I can't make it work, and they give up and they go back to doing whatever they were doing before. Whereas from what I've heard and the more people I speak to, the truer I find this is that you basically split test your way to profitability. You're going to try out, if you have to try out 20 different ads or 50 different ads and then 20 different landing pages, and if you're willing to do that, that's what it really takes to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot agree with that. Anymore. Yeah, that's very true. So yeah, you can. I mean, I've taken a campaign that started with losing, I don't know, 3/4 of my ad spend, and taken that campaign and turned it profitable. In a few weeks or a month or 6 weeks time. It started out. A lot of people would just call that a loser, right?
Yep.
But there were conversions coming in, and so you got to take a look and say, well, where are these conversions coming from? What can I do to try to target this traffic better? What can I change about the ad copy? Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. Is there any benchmark that Perry mentions going? You're gonna have to spend, say, a couple grand before you're actually got a winning campaign. Is there any sort of benchmark you go by when thinking about how much are you gonna have to spend or invest, in the first kind of month or two while you're just testing and ironing things out before you actually hit a good campaign?
It depends on what you're doing. It really depends. And as far as like how much would I be willing to spend before giving up, I'm not going to go after something that I don't know is like a proven market. So if I'm going after something and I've lost $1,000, it's not going to scare me because I know that there's guys out there that are making the market work already. They're already having success. So I'm going to be far more likely to just push through and stick with it and try to figure out what I'm doing wrong. But if you're just like throwing up some random idea, it's hard to say when to quit because if something's not proven to work on display, that could be challenging, and you may have to spend an awful lot of money to figure it out. I mean, Perry said a couple $1,000s. Is that what he said? I mean, that's not a bad.
Yeah, I think he mentions that like small business got to spend a couple grand to kind of get this thing going. Problem is most small businesses, $3,000. That's a lot of money to the average business.
I think what happens is that it's not a lot of money, even for like a small business. It's probably not a lot of money if they were convinced that at some point it was going to turn around and all of a sudden things were going to be profitable and it was going to be a great source of traffic for them. But I think what happens is they don't know that. You get spooked, right? They decide that, this could be like this just black hole of cash that I just keep losing money, right? And so, yeah, I think most people would quit before spending $2,000 or $3,000, honestly. At least $2,000 or $3,000 in losses, I think, would make most people quit. Yeah. That doesn't always happen, though. Sometimes you hit on a good thing and you can make something profitable relatively quickly. So I don't want to say that that's always the way that it works out, but sometimes it does.
Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, you're probably right about that. The whole idea of $3,000 is not that big of a deal, but when it's $3,000, it seems like you're just throwing it away to the Google Display Network or another ad network. I think that's quite hard to stomach. The feeling that you're spending, say, $100 a day and nothing's coming out of it, at least for the first month or so.
Yeah. So ideally what happens is you're seeing constant improvement, right? I mean, you're out of every 100, you're losing, 75 at first for the first couple days, maybe even a week. And then, the next week you're only losing 50 out of 100. And then the next week, 25, et cetera. Right. And finally, after a month or so, you're break even. Once you're break even, then you're kind of home free at that point because, even though you may not be making any money, but you're constantly collecting more data and you're able to split test ads and split test. You have all this traffic coming in, and without losing money, you can afford to keep testing, and then you'll eventually be profitable. So that's kind of the way that works.
Okay. And one thing I'm setting up right now, and I guess some of these other guys are doing as well, is like, let's say someone opts into this list, and then they get presented with a one-time offer, such as a discount on a product that that's already out there. And then what happens is once they activate that, once they go and purchase that one product that was maybe, say, it depends on what network and what market you're in, but it might be, say, $10 is, cheap, low dollar offer to kick things off. Then they get hit with an upsell for, say, $40. And then if they buy that, they get one for $100. And then if they buy that, they get another one for, say, $200 or $300. So on the front, it might seem like, boy, you can only make like $7. Say you're selling a $7 ebook or something. But once you run a whole ton of traffic at that, one in however many hundred, depending on the conversion rate, is going to end up buying everything in that funnel, buying every upsell, which is going to add up to something like $300. So you can there's quite a lot of potential on that front to make a decent amount of money.
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes I would say that in a well-developed sort of upsell flow and product line, that it's very possible to see up to 100% more revenue from the upsells than you would if you just had the front end product, right?
Yeah.
So that makes it. So this is why it's hard to just kind of talk in general about how to make display advertising work, because if you have someone that really understands email marketing, they really understand product pricing and upsell flows and all of this stuff, they've got all that down already, and they have a well-developed product line, then they may be able to make advertising work fairly quickly, right? Mm-hmm. It's when you're trying to kind of start from scratch on both sides that it's more difficult. And I think usually people know one thing or the other. It's rare to find somebody that really understands email marketing and full funnel optimization and also understands the traffic side,
Yeah.
Because they're both pretty tough, right? I mean, people tend to just form an expertise on one side of it, and you can spend years just trying to perfect your skills with email and copy and all that stuff, right?
That's funny, man. That's pretty much what I've been doing. I mean, started as a copywriter and then got good at writing emails and kind of then started selling my own products and doing it for clients. But I've never done paid traffic. I've kind of dabbled in paid traffic in the last probably 2 to 3 years, but I've always had that mindset that, I spent $100 and I didn't make anything. I should just give up, so that I'd stop doing it. And now I'm kind of kicking myself. So imagine what would have happened if all I did is spent $10, $20 a day for the last 2 years. I'd be miles ahead of where I am now, and I would have been able to practice copy along the way as well. So I'd have both skill sets. But now I've got one, and now it's time to learn the other side of the coin.
Yeah, I mean, I did the same thing though from the other side. I learned advertising and basically, I don't know what. I think I was scared of email or whatever for several years, and finally a couple of years ago started learning email. And if I'd started that earlier, I'd be way better off right now. So but I don't know. You learn one thing, and if you start having success with it, you get in a little bit of a comfort zone, probably. That's what happens.
Okay, well let's dive in real quick just to some of the. So let's say some of this email stuff, basically. Let's say we've got on the Google Display Network, we've got some good sites, good traffic. People are opting in, and we've got an upsell flow there with, say, a front-end offer. And just so people understand what this is, you might have what I've got set up right now that I've just got is someone opts in. There's a $7 offer, which is a one-time offer down from $20. And then if they buy that, they get a $37 offer, and then a $97, and then a $197. Offer. Mm-hmm. So then what happens after that? You mentioned some of this can get quite advanced. Is this like a straight autoresponder sequence, or are people doing quite ninja stuff on the back end with their emails?
So here's the funny thing, like it varies completely. I mean, the guys that are doing an amazing job with this, they're going to be like, ultra advanced with all this. They're going to be doing all sorts of behavior based, email marketing onto the buyer sequence and, remarketing. If they didn't take the upsells, they're going to know that and start offering them again on the buyer sequence and all of that kind of stuff. Right. So, I mean, that's kind of like at the upper end, like that's the kind of stuff you can be doing. But there's guys out there that are doing well with paid traffic, and they're not that advanced. So they have just got a really solid front end, high converting offer. And on the back end, they may just be kind of lazy and just not really have it all that advanced. Maybe they're mailing out some affiliate offers, whatever. So it just kind of, it really depends on the business and how far along they are.
Yeah, okay. There's basically like a series of leverage points. Like when you fire up an ad campaign, assuming that you've got, you can optimize the ad, with the image, the banner, the call to action. Then you can optimize the landing page. Maybe it's like a one-step landing page. Maybe you've got like some sort of lead box or like opt-in box that you have to click a button and it pops up. These are all leverage points. And assuming you've got those things dialed, then you can start to look at, well, do we optimize the product? Do we optimize the sales page? Or maybe we optimize the email sequence? And it sounds like some people going down the email sequence direction, some people go down the product line direction.
It's tough. I mean, honestly, there's so many things you can optimize. At that point, when you get to that point, it's really tough to decide what to do. So it helps, like if you have some friends that have some sort of a sequence set up, and you can maybe kind of get reference points on, like if you have say you have an upsell sequence, and you got 2 upsells, and each of them converts at 10%. 10% of the people that bought the front end, buy each of them, that's probably a little bit low. Yeah. And so that might, if you know that, right, if you've, asked some other people or figured this out in some way, right, taken some training courses or whatever, then you might know that that's a good place to kind of focus some time on. And so it helps to know a little bit about what kind of averages are. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, you reach a point where you don't really know what to focus on, and there's a lot of different ways you can go. I will say this, like the real kind of turning point is when if you can get to a break even on your ad spend, then you're in a good place, right? Because then you have traffic coming into your email funnel, and now whatever you choose to do, it almost doesn't matter, because the chances are you're going to improve it if you're testing, right? Mm-hmm. And so, at some point you're going to probably get the big wins on an opt-in page, and you're going to get the big wins on your one-time offer. And so you move on to test other things. Once you get to that point where you have traffic coming in, that's a good place to be.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. All right, man. Well, this has been really cool. Just lastly, to finish up, what are some, if someone wanted to get started today and they wanted to go out and start setting this up, obviously they need an ad network and they need a product to sell on a couple of different pages. Would the best place for them to start be the Google Display Network?
Google Display is great. Facebook is also really good, and there's really tight targeting available on Facebook. So depending on what you're doing, if you have a really kind of niche market, Facebook could be good. If there's good targeting available on Facebook, different groups and things you can target that is your target audience, that could be a really great place to start. Google Display is excellent for keyword-based targeting. Depending on your offer, it can work really well. There's excellent conversion tracking and retargeting and all sorts of great features, in Google Display right now. And as far as like setting up a site, the standard things are great. I would start, if I was starting out today and didn't have anything, I would start with, Optimized Press or Lead Pages or whatever, and just get something going with one of those kind of sort of templated types of services. And that's plenty to get started. Then you can worry about, setting something up custom later.
I like it. So no one has any excuse for not starting.
I don't think so, no. If you have tech, sometimes the tech stuff can get in the way, but you can find somebody on Odesk to help you with that sort of thing. But Optimized Press is great. You can start a $1 million business on Optimized Press really easily.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the sound of that. All right, man, before we go then, if someone wants to check out AdBeat or learn more about you, I reckon AdBeat, a lot of people are going to be interested in. Where's the best place to go?
The site is adbeat.com. We have a trial available that normally don't advertise, but if they want to go and check it out for just $1, it's adbeat.com/trial. And, any questions, support at adbeat.com. And, that should take care of anything anybody wants to know.
Cool, man. All right, Mike. Well, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Sure. Thanks for having me on, John.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening. If you want to discover more insider tips, tricks, and secrets about driving sales with email marketing, sign up for daily email tips from the autoresponder guy. Go to dropdeadcopy.com/podcast. Sign up, confirm your email address, and I'll send you daily emails on how to improve your email marketing and make more sales via email. You'll find out why open rates don't matter and the 7-letter word that underlies all effective marketing and much more.